for quite some time, and I think it's important that we all recognize the new employees, because all of us, from the mayor to the council to every single employee, play a part in the success of our city and the success that we have in the services that we offer to the community and to our citizens. This is the first time that I've done that, or done this, I had the opportunity to do it, and like I said, I do appreciate it. And what we normally do is we introduce the new employees, have them come up and be recognized, and then have you turn around and recognize the council, because they are the ones that give you a raise when it comes to that time. So just, smile at them big when you have to turn around. All right, so from the police department, Margot Pearson, come on up front, please. Hey, Papa. From Public Works, Marion Campbell, Demario Ravenel, Rashe White, I hope I said that correctly, and Demetrio Green. Y'all can come on up. Again, on behalf of the mayor and the city council, if you would turn and face the folks there in city council. These are our new employees of the police department, Public Works. And on behalf of the mayor and city council, I'd like to welcome you to the city of North Charleston and wish you long and happy careers. So,
thank you for coming aboard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Skipper. Ask clerk now to continue with the printed agenda.
I'm sorry, we won't be able to show the package on the side screens tonight. We got some new computers, and we went right to hell.
They're not being friendly.
Item 1 is a request to approve the minutes from the June 23rd, 2016 City Council meeting.
Move approval.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson? Aye. Mr. Olds? Aye. Ms. Williams? Aye. Mr. Hart? Aye. Mr. King? Aye. Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 2 is the final reading of an ordinance amending subsection 10.5-680A of the Code of Ordinances of the City of North Charleston to regulate safety inspections of taxi cabs within the city.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson? Mr. Olds? Ms. Williams? Mr. Hart? Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item 3 has been withdrawn, and we'll ask the clerk move forward.
Item 4 is the first reading and a public hearing of an ordinance rezoning the properties addressed as 9122 and 9126 Timber Street, Charleston County, TMS 486 05000025 and 026, from R1 Single Family Residential to B1 Limited Business, and a concurrent amendment to the comprehensive plan future land use map for the same parcels, changing them from single-family suburban to neighborhood commercial in Council District 3.
Eileen?
Good evening. So I'm going to walk through the agenda in the way I normally would, and we will do it without visuals, but I understand you have them printed before you? Oh, great.
Yeah, we're there, we have them on
Okay.
paper.
So this is the proposed rezoning of 9122 and 9126 Timber Street in the Deer Park neighborhood. It is currently zoned R1 and is proposed for B1 zoning. It is owned by the Walker Living Trust, Joyce W. Walker, trustee, and represented by the applicant, Terry Walker. The area of the two properties together is just over 35,000 square feet, annexed in 1996 and a part of Council District 3. In your packet, you'll have pictures of the property as it was posted for tonight's meeting. and the aerial of the property showing the location of these lots along Timber Street just south of the Trident complex. And the zoning map showing that these, well, the zoning map's pretty grayed out. Hopefully the colors came out somewhat in your packet. These two properties are zoned R1. The properties to the north of them are zoned B1, which is our limited business. And this is the future land use map. The future land use map is hopefully before you. And these lots are designated for single-family suburban, whereas the lots that are part of the Trident complex are designated for office professional. So this is the proposed rezoning of two lots just south of the Trident Hospital area. The proposed zoning is B1 to support a medical office. Given the lack of support in the comprehensive plan, staff recommends denial, and the Planning Commission concurred unanimously. I should also add that a letter opposing the rezoning was submitted to the Planning and Zoning Department on Tuesday.
Any questions by council? Hearing none, this is an advertised public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, give us your remarks. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue? Hearing none, without objection, it's referred to the Public Safety Committee meeting, which meets next Thursday at 5 p.m.
Item 5 is the first reading and a public hearing of an ordinance amending a portion of the Heap Tract McKeown Plan Development District, Dorchester County, TMS 163000027, to revise the master plan, provide a new preliminary plat, and make certain changes to the Heap Tract McKeown PDD in Council District 9.
Eileen?
Okay, so, sorry, I'm not quite in the right place. Oh. The slides are not in the digital package. So this is the proposed PDD amendment for the undeveloped portion of the McKeown PD, which is north of Patriot Boulevard. Changes to the PDD being requested are almost identical to those previously approved for the area that is now known as Coosaw Preserve. The proposed plat would increase the total number of residential units in the PD, approved for the PD, by 18 units. In that the new total build-out anticipated 1,623 units is still approximately 2/3 of what was originally contemplated and approved. Staff recommends approval contingent on council later abandoning a small portion of right-of-way, and the Planning Commission concurred unanimously.
Any questions by council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just one thing of note. I know we'll take it up in committee, but there's something that starkly stands out here on page 6 with these buffers. So if anything can be altered or amended before that, I think we're going to have some extensive discussion on that next week. At the bottom of page 6, no buffer between single-family and multifamily residences, and a wetland buffer with a pond.
That is the existing approved PDD language. Yes, sir.
So is this what's...
No, that is not being proposed for amendment.
That's already part of the ordinance. That's not in
So
movement
this
change.
is... Okay.
The things that were marked in the heavy blue lines,
Okay.
that's the only things that
Thank you.
changed.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
So what year was the original PDD approved?
I want to say 2006.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions by council? Hearing none, this was an advertised public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us your remarks. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue? Hearing none, without objection, it's referred to the Public Safety Committee, which meets next Thursday at 5 o'clock.
Yes, sir. Ready for next?
Yes, ma'am.
Item 6 is the first reading and public hearing for an ordinance approving the comprehensive plan review, making certain minor changes to the adopted plan, including proposed revisions to the future land use map. I think that's Eileen as well.
Yep.
The review of the comprehensive plan, including some proposed changes to the future land use map, was recently concluded. The plan has been updated with the 2010 and more recent census data where available, as well as updating info regarding recent housing and infrastructure projects. The future land use categories were revised slightly by adding a new category, transportation and utilities, renaming one category, and making tweaks to two categories' definitions to better capture the intent of those categories. Certain minor changes to the map, as outlined in the agenda item, have also been proposed. In that the changes to the plan and the map are generally minor refinements or cleanups to existing issues, staff recommends approval and the Planning Commission concurred unanimously.
Any questions by council?
One on the conservation, are we still maintaining, I mean, a lot of our conservation land is buildable and developed land. So how much are we contemplating is gonna be now withdrawn to conservation?
We went through the properties that have a future land use of conservation. Where those properties appear to be highland and have zoning that is appropriate, we did propose changes to those properties to correspond with their zoning or somewhat similar to their zoning. We did leave conservation on areas that were clearly wetland or for other reasons, perhaps undevelopable. We left that as it was adopted in 2008. We only changed those parcels that appeared to be categorized in a way we weren't sure exactly how that had come about.
So it's fair to say if it's not wetland, it's not conservation?
For the most part, yes.
Okay, I mean, I'm trying to understand it.
We, as you've pointed out in the past, sir, we don't have a conservation zoning, so without a zoning that corresponds, it makes it difficult to have a
Right.
conservation future land use.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? This is an advertised public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us your remarks. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue? Okay.
You have a speaker.
Yes, sir. Just come forward, please. Give us your name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'm Brandon Hudson. I live in 4904 Liberty Park Circle in Oak Turf Preserve.
Now, Brandon, you've signed up to speak at the end of the meeting. Is this
This is, I just wanted to address this.
this
I can
particular
speak at the
issue?
end, yes, but I can also, whatever's more appropriate.
No,
This is-
you
okay.
do both.
Okay. This is regarding the upcoming auction. This is going to be auctioned off, correct? Is this the,
No.
okay, so this is not the one.
This has nothing to do with the auctions coming up.
Okay.
Catherine Porter, 4517 Old Park. The area that is being auctioned off on South Red
It's
is,
not the-
I understand that is not part, that the auction is not part of this, but that is part of property that is being taken out of conservation and being rezoned for development.
No, ma'am, it's already zoned for development. That property is zoned for R2.
Mr. Mayor, are we finished with item number 6?
No, sir. I appreciate you. We're gonna call y'all up to speak
Okay.
in
We'll
a
speak at
moment
the end.
about
I
that.
apologize for the misunderstanding.
That's no problem. Hey, listen. Thank you. This is an advertised public hearing. Again, anyone wishing to speak on this particular issue, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us your remarks. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue? Hearing none, without objection, it's referred to the Public Safety Committee meeting, which meets at 5 p.m. next Thursday. Okay, we do have 2 requests to speak. Now is your time. Brandon Hudson, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, so we can have it as part of our minutes.
Okay, we'll try this again. Sorry about that. Just so excited, you know. Again, Brandon Hudson, 4904 West Liberty Park Circle. I live in Oak Terrace Reserve. Thank you again for your time. This is regarding the upcoming auction of the lands contained 17-acre parcel on Southford Avenue. It borders District 7 and 8. It's labeled as Track 4 on the auction. That area currently contains a large natural area that will help provide additional buffer to the upcoming Palmetto Rail project. It could easily be developed into a marsh front walkable area or simply be labeled as a nature preserve and left untouched. That area, 101 the adjoining parcel is already designated as a greenbelt space and could be leveraged to create an additional community area with some of the city's remaining $1.5 million in program funding from the Greenbelt project. A current example of a successful use of green space is the West Ashley Greenway, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. It's a wonderful area. We drive over there all the time to use it. If we had something closer, I would be more than happy to use that, and I think it would be much better than the West Ashley one. I mean, everything here is better than West Ashley, right?
Right.
The West Ashley area creates a nice buffer between commercialized and industrial, light industrial, and residential, which this could also do. I think that it would also encourage residents in that area to exercise and keep them off the main roads where traffic is always a problem. The city of North Charleston has always done a great job of creating pocket parks and leveraging funds to create usable spaces. We appreciate that. We hope that we can continue that trend here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. And we have, let me get my glasses back on. Ms. Jessica Smith, I'm sorry, John. Okay.
Hello, my name is Jessica Smith. I live on 4814 Berkman Road in Garden Terrace in Park Circle. I applaud the city of North Charleston for their continuing commitment to environmental preservation. I appreciate that City Council and Oak Terrace Preserve reduced the number of lots it had planned in order to preserve more trees in Phase 3 of Oak Terrace Preserve, and applaud their commitment to the environment when creating this sustainable, eco-friendly community. I also appreciate your efforts in encouraging the use of native plants in our city landscapes. That being said, I'm here today to protest the seemingly unnecessary removal of a large live oak at Upjohn and East Montague, where they are building a Family Dollar. I drive by this lot every day during my commute to, ironically enough, the Oaks at Center Point Drive. On the day I noticed them clearing the lot and gearing up to cut down the tree, I contacted the city and was informed that they had not been given a permit to cut down the tree. I alerted the city, and an official came out to the site and stopped them from removing the tree. When I returned from visiting family over July 4th weekend, I saw that the tree had already been taken down and heard that they were able to do so after paying an undisclosed sum to the city. This tree was perfectly placed at the corner of the site and could have been easy to work around. Not only that, I believe its shade would have been most welcome to Family Dollar shoppers from the sometimes oppressive heat we have here in Charleston. It also would have been much prettier with the tree on the lot and help preserve our property values. Nothing can bring back this tree now, but I come before you today to ask that we be more circumspect in our decisions when developing North Charleston and Park Circle area. I actively avoid Rivers Avenue and Ashley Phosphate because they are overdeveloped urban sprawl. I'll go to Daniel Island or downtown often to do business just because it's a more pleasant area. I don't think that they would have allowed a picturesque oak to be cut down to make way for a Family Dollar there. I would also like to take this time to protest the upcoming auction of a large parcel of land bought with Greenbelt funds, which Brandon spoke of. Barring an actual green space, could the city possibly create another community like Oak Terrace Preserve? I shudder to think about what will happen if it just gets sold off to the highest bidder. The nightmare that is Somerville is what comes to mind. I would also like to bring to your attention the large amounts of broken glass in the bike lanes on Spruill Avenue. It makes the lane almost unusual. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Let me give a brief explanation about the property on South Rhett. The property that is in the preserve was actually purchased with Greenbelt money. The rest of the property was paid for with general fund dollars by the citizens of the city of North Charleston, with the intent of that property being developed for the zoning it already had. And we not only bought the Greenbelt space on that side of the creek, we also bought it on the other side of the creek as well, so that we could create access for the public from Rivers Avenue all the way to the naval base at Riverfront Park. But it's, the property was always bought with the intention of selling it. The market was not very good in that area when we did it, and we purchased several pieces of property to make sure that they could be developed properly down the road. We are preserving, we own the end on Rivers Avenue. We bought that property years ago. which is where we start the creek access for creating a boardwalk, and that's our ultimate goal, is to create a boardwalk all the way to the park. And so, but this particular portion of land was paid for by general fund money. The portion that was on the water itself was paid for by Greenbelt money. And we did the same thing on the opposite side, gosh, within the last year. We purchased the property over there. The only way we could purchase that Greenbelt property that we wanted was to purchase all the property owned by that individual. And so there are segments in that area that will also eventually be sold off. It was no intent for it to be used for city use, but to help make sure that it's developed properly in the future that might accommodate, at least not hinder, what we're trying to do with the green space through there. Any other
Yes.
things for council? Yes, sir.
Yes. I was not aware that that tree on Montague, that Grand Oak, was not supposed to be removed. I want to know, what have we assessed a penalty against the contractor for moving that tree?
Well, I think they ended up getting a permit because the structure of the facility itself would be damaged by the root system, and they can get a permit to do that, but they also have to contribute to
I know they're supposed to
replacement fund.
replace.
Eileen, you got more direct information on it?
I do. I believe when the call came in that that tree cutting was happening, there was some confusion about the address because there had been several buildings on the property, and then it had been put into our permitting system under a different address based on the new location where the building will be going. So the caller was told that there was not a permit, but there was a permit.
There was a permit in hand.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It was confusion in our system.
There-
We apologize.
That was two parcels of property owned by the same individuals. One was a residence and the other one had been a motel. So the property was already zoned properly as commercial property for the development of the store. But they had to tear down, the family sold the house so that it could become part of the property. That's the only way they could sell their property to get a fair price for it.
Mr. Mayor?
I will tell you also that we tore down the old motel a number of years ago now, and we attached a $54,000 lien, I think it was, $64,000 on the property, and that has now been paid back to the city out of the sale of the property.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
First of all, that's good news about liens, and Mr. Kingsley, there really was a real lien filed. Eileen, may I ask you another question about the oak tree? And it was permitted, right? Grand Oak?
Its
Was it
removal
a
was
Grand Oak?
permitted, yes.
Was it a Grand Oak?
Yes.
But now, the mayor mentioned that there would have been a contribution to, like, we call it the tree bank, Mr. Mayor, or
Yes.
what form and amount did that take?
Well, we first require mitigation to occur on-site if possible. So if you take down a 38-inch oak tree, you should be putting up 38 inches of new trees on your site. If that's not possible due to the size of the site or other factors, then a payment is made
Right.
into the tree bank. They have put most of the trees back on their site, but they also made a payment of just a little over $4,400 into the tree bank.
$4,400? Actually, that's a pretty good contribution. but,
Well,
you
it
know,
gives us an opportunity in areas where we need to plant trees, that we've got funds that we can go in and plant and replace some of the scrub trees that we have with some of the trees that grow up to be very nice for the future. And they also had to plant, they had not been able to plant new trees on the property, that amount would have been higher.
So just to kind of clear up Jessica's point, there was in fact a permit.
There was.
Our ordinances worked, and not only did they mitigate in terms of the 38 inches of tree, we got $4,400.
They didn't replant the whole 38 inches because they couldn't replant all of those. That's what resulted in the payment on the site. So they're doing some
The mix
mitigation
of
and
the
some
two.
money.
So the $4,400
was it covered what they couldn't plant back on the property.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if you guys are finished, this is not dealing with trees, it's just acknowledging my community members that showed up to address an item that was here, but it was withdrawn. I just want to say thank you, and that is from Dorchester Terrace community.
Thank you for caring.
Yeah.
Mayor Summey,
Yes, ma'am.
do y'all know that when they build a new Family Dollar on Liberty Hill, are they planning on removing the one on Rivers Avenue?
No, ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Will the state, or I know the city will not be responsible, but will Family Dollar be responsible for turn lane? Because I see a traffic congestion at that point.
No, sir, they don't have a
Turn lane.
turn lane going in. As you know, in order to get a turn lane in there, they would have to buy additional property that was not belonged by the owners. And as we're continually looking at working Montague, and as you know, we're working now with South Carolina Electric and Gas to do underground utilities through that area, all the way from Park Circle, I think, to Rivers, and then we're working on the other section so that it goes all the way to Montague and Dorchester. Everything along there will be underground utilities, and they won't have to keep trimming those trees for the power lines that look so horrible when they do it. They came in, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago to give us a report.
Yeah.
And I told them that they were in luck because they're trimming them in front of the Coliseum again. The last time they did, my wife stopped the car and got out and blocked them from trimming them. And I had to go nicely try to remove her from the scene. But it is something that doing the underground utilities makes it a safer environment along that roadway. But we've got to come up with the final design on what we do where we can have movement of traffic in both directions in one lane, and the second lane could become turn lanes, either to turn across traffic or into traffic, because it does have the median in the middle. And so that's what we're working to do. Funding is everything in life, but we are working with the E&G on that fund where they pay a portion and we pay a portion, correct?
Yes, that's correct, the non-standard service fund.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, thank everybody for their presence.